What's up, people? What's good? What's good? How we doing today? Listen. So, I just made a video about a man who pays for grass. Now, do you know anyone around in your neighborhood who pays for grass? You probably don't, because this man is not an ordinary man. Now, why does he pay for grass? And what's the important lesson behind that? Okay, so he lives in America. Okay, this man lives in America, and where he lives, they have rules and regulations about how you can grow your grass and your crops. Now, this man, he has a certain type of grass or brush or whatever you call it, or bush. So it's a privacy bush, right? So it's meant to grow high to block out and act as a type of wall which covers your house. So he grows this, of course, but he grows it way higher than how he's allowed to grow it. He completely disregards the law about how high you can grow your privacy grass. So what are the consequences of that? Now, when you're in his tax bracket, the consequences of that are simply more money. This man is paying a subscription to the law to have grass. Why does he do this? Because the law, and this is a very important point, the law exists for those who cannot afford the cost to break it. I'm going to say that one again. The law exists for those who do not or cannot afford the cost to break them. Now, why is that important? What this shows us is laws are malleable and laws are soft. People think, and I don't specifically mean laws, but general rules or ways of going about life. So people think, oh, you have to wake up, you have to do this. First thing in the morning, you have to do this, do that. Drink water, do that, brush your teeth. You should brush your teeth, of course. That's a law. That's a rule you should follow. But what I'm saying is people, they think in boxes. They think very structured. They have a very specific and structured view of reality. And that's okay. But it's really not. Because to live in a box is to live in confinement. When you go to jail, you live in a box. So if you're living your life in a box, dictated by rules and status quos and mainstream propaganda, then you limit your potential in this life. And that's a very important point that I like to make in most of my videos. It's one of the main points I want to make on this channel, to not follow the status quo, to think outside the box. And when you think outside the box, if you're thinking far enough outside of the box, people will label you insane. I have a video about this. To become extremely successful in life, you must be insane. A sane man does not get to billionaire status. You have to have an insane drive to keep, an insatiable drive to keep pushing forward, to keep moving forward. You can't stop. That's a point I like to keep making. But this man, he's paying for grass. Why is he paying for grass? He's paying a monthly subscription to law enforcement to break the law. That tells you that the law is malleable. And why this man does this is because he thinks outside the box. Now, who is this man? This man is Jeff Bezos, founder and CEO of Amazon, creator of Amazon. Now, to create such an incredible product that's made him millions, if not billions, you have to think outside the box, right? Most people, when they're young, they're asked, what would you like to be when you're older? What would you like to do? What would you like to accomplish? Why? Most people, they think in the box. They say, oh, I want to be a firefighter, a builder, a policeman, this, that, etc. Now, sure, those are okay professions to do, and if you genuinely want to do that, that's fine, do that. But what you will find is that most people, or what I found, most people don't necessarily want to do those things. Those things were just reinforced inside their brain over and over again until they thought, oh, that's the path. You see, the brain, right? The brain works by the path of least resistance. So you fall to the habits with which you have sustained for your life. So say you've been a smoker for 10 years. When you're stressed, your cortisol's high, your nervous system is feeling bad. The one thing you'll go back to is smoking, because the brain falls to the path of least resistance. And if you've done a habit for years and years on end, you have carved that habit into your brain. You literally have indentations in your brain, carves, pathways in your brain to more easily keep doing that habit or activity. So even at a biological level, inside your mind, your brain is just following the laws, the rules. It's not thinking outside the box. It's doing what it's always done. It's doing what's easiest for it to do. Now, on this channel, I want all of us to think differently, because I'm a very ambitious person. I assume you guys watching this are ambitious too. So when you're ambitious, you have high goals that you want to reach. I keep stressing this point because it can't be stressed enough. In order to reach these goals, you need to be different. I could make 100 videos on this topic and I still wouldn't be able to stress it enough. You need to be different to everyone else. You need to think differently. Jeff Bezos, he is thinking differently. He is paying a subscription for grass to the government because to him the law is not an absolute. It's not an absolute wall that can't be passed. It's soft. It can be bended to the will of the highest bidder. And that's how this is how reality works. The highest bidder in reality is the one who puts in the most effort, the one who has the most force of will. Life reacts to force. You have to force the outcome that you want to happen. You can't just sit back, hope, daydream that the changes will happen. You have to make it happen. You have to carve your will into reality the same way you carve pathways into your brain through repetition. So, what can we learn from Jeff Bezos? First of all, this guy is extremely rich, so from his financial status, we already know he thinks outside the box. But the main point that I want you guys to get from this video is life is completely malleable, and I mean this in every way. Life is an infinite, think of like a sandbox, right? Life is an infinite sandbox, and you can do absolutely anything you want in this life. Now, we think with words, and when we say words, it creates images in our mind which helps us to formulate our thoughts. However, although words are freeing and they can help you to express, they can also be a cage which confines you. So, for instance, how do you think if not through words? Can you think of an idea which extends past simple words? Because this is a tool used by those in power, of course. They use certain words and terms to get you to think in a box. They keep your mind in a box by the language and words with which they program you with. It's called a subliminal. So the thought that you think of the most is the one which you are most likely to turn into an action. So we have millions of thoughts in a day, but what you think of the most and what you plan for intelligently is what you will create in this life. So the main points that I want to push in this video: 1, think outside the box, because the rules with which you are probably living with right now, they don't exist, they're malleable. You can change it, you have free will, you can do whatever you want, right? That's the first point. The second point, think intelligently and creatively. Do not let your thoughts be governed by external forces or factors, as most people are. That's called propaganda. Do not fall for propaganda. Be authentic to yourself. And most importantly, realize that everything that you've ever thought of as an absolute in reality is soft, malleable, and changeable. Even this reality itself, There's nothing on this earth, outside this earth, anywhere in all of reality, in all of this universe that isn't malleable, because nothing is permanent. Everything is temporary. And because everything is temporary, everything can be changed. It's all about the amount of force you put in to making your will reality. And that's the lesson that we can learn today from Jeff Bezos. And that is why he pays a subscription for grass. So that's free game, and I want you guys to hold on to that mindset and in your day-to-day life. Whatever you're doing, if you're going to work, if you're going to the gym, remind yourself, you have free will. If there's one thing you get from this video, remember, you have free will. See you in the next video.